Hi, I hope you're having a great Tuesday. Be sure to get out there and enjoy that weather. Back to continue the Friendship War. A day at the ocean, a day climbing Mount Monadnock, a morning hike around Boston, and an afternoon at the Museum of Science. Grandpa is definitely back, and that makes me really happy. We've been walking so much that I feel like I'll need a vacation from my vacation. The day before I fly home, we're on the front steps of Grandpa's old building late in the afternoon. He really wants to take me inside the place. Here, put this on. And he hands me an orange hard hat with a headlamp. It's dark in there? Scientifically, I understand that darkness isn't an actual condition. Light isn't actual, and darkness just means no light. Still, I'm not a fan. It's not dark everywhere, only where the windows are boarded up, and in the stairwells, and down in the basement. He has about 10 different keys on a string, and he's trying to find the one for the padlock on the door. The mill was built in 1849, and along the back side, that's the Keepshaw River. The water turned a huge paddle wheel to make the power. First, it was a carpet mill, then a woolen blanket mill, a cotton mill, a shoe factory, and finally a men's and women's clothing factory, which went out of business in 1946. After that, a printer and some small business and artists rented place, but it's been empty for almost 15 years, which is why it was so cheap. I'm thinking it would be fine if we just look around the outside of the building, but Grandpa gets the lock open and hands me a canvas shopping bag. What's this for? In case you find something interesting. You can keep whatever you like. Really? Anything? Yep, I own the building and everything in it. I follow him inside, and I'm using my phone, sometimes as an extra flashlight, sometimes as a camera. Right away I realized that this treasure hunt is why Grandpa wanted to take the grand tour. He knows I love finding stuff, and the old mill is like a gold mine. The first thing I discover is a solid brass doorknob, just lying on the floor inside the mill office. Then I find 2 wooden bobbins loaded with red and green yarn. Then a giant pair of scissors, a tin box of sewing needles, an iron gear that weighs about 5 pounds, 2 old-fashioned fountain pens, a silver thimble, a key ring with 9 brass keys, a hammer with a big flat head, and a pair of antique glasses, the kind that pinch onto the nose. After an hour, I feel like I've barely started, but we've got a dinner reservation at Grandpa's favorite seafood place. So I'm trying to see the whole building before time runs out. It's after 5 o'clock and we're on the 3rd floor, but it's bright and sunny with sparrows and pigeons flying in and out of the broken windows. There's not much to see, about 20 large wooden tables bolted to the floor, and some rusty sewing machines next to the windows. I'm watching where I step, bird droppings. I point at a doorway on the far wall. Where does that go? Let's look. It's locked, so Grandpa gets out his keys and it takes 5 tries to find the right one. I turn on my headlamp and pull the door open. It's a small storage room, wooden shelves loaded with cardboard boxes, each one about 1 foot high and 1 foot wide. I brush off some dust and spiderwebs it, and carry a box out into the daylight into the large room. It's heavy. The paper sealing tape tears away easily, and inside, buttons. Plain dark gray buttons, each a little smaller than a dime. I shove my hand deep into the box, grab some and pull them up to look, just like the ones on top. I bring out another box and open it, then a third. Nothing but more of the same. Grandpa says, "That's a lot of gray buttons. Must be almost 30 boxes. And it's okay if I take some of these, right?" Like I said, you can keep whatever you want. I scoop 2 quick handfuls into my bag and then stop. But really, Grandpa, I'd like to have all of them. He points at the shelf. All of them? Yes, please. What in the world are you going to do with that many buttons? I don't know. I still want them, if that's okay. Now he's laughing. Sure, why not? Take 'em all. Then he looks over the shelves again, thinking. It might be a week or 2 before I can get them shipped, but the boxes should fit into 1 pallet. And since you are my one and only granddaughter, I will make it happen. I just wish I could be there to see the look on your mom's face when the load arrives in Illinois. Watching latching onto these buttons, it's not weird, not for me, and Grandpa knows that. And he knows Mom will understand too. After all, she's the one who stops the car whenever I spot a garage sale. And Grandma? She would have clapped her hands and said, "Perfect!" Grandpa's seen my room at home, and how the drawers in my desk are crammed full. Also the top of my dresser and the tops of my bookcases and the windowsills. Actually, every flat surface in my room is loaded, including the floor. Feathers, acorns, a really old calculator, seashells, troll dolls, fake jewelry, rocks, stones, keys, markers and pens, coins, pine cones, paper clips, candles for my 3rd birthday cakes, every card and letter I've ever gotten, old movie tickets, marbles, nails, and so on. And that's just the smaller stuff. I have also got 7 large snow globes, 9 dark blue glass bottles, a globe from the world from 1941, a slide rule on its own leather case, 3 plastic crates of vinyl records, a wobbly piano stool, and a couple dozen stuffed animal toys, mostly cats and dogs and penguins. Not to mention half bazillion paperbacks and comic books, plus 3 full sets of Encyclopedia Britannica, which I stacked up into the shape of a big armchair. I have a theory about why I collect so many things, which I don't want to think about now. Actually, I usually have at least 5 or 6 active theories rolling around inside my head. Theories about all kinds of stuff, because whenever I notice something I don't understand, I think of a possible way to explain it, and then I keep track of the facts to test if my theory is right, which is not some new process I invented. It's called the scientific method. Still wanting to own a whole shoe store of buttons? I might need to revise my theory about why I love all the things in my room. I'm not lying to Grandpa. I don't really know why I want all of them. I just do. It feels like an opportunity I shouldn't pass up. And when I found that 3rd set of Encyclopedia Britannica. And Grandpa gets that. He's still chuckling and shaking his head. I look at him in the face. "Can I ask a favor?" He wipes his eyes with a tissue. "Sure. When I get home and I tell Mom and Dad and Ben about your building and everything, I'm not going to tell them about the buttons. Not until they arrive. So could you not mention it to them until later?" "No problem. That's even better." He's laughing again. Grandpa probably thinks I'm going to keep these buttons a complete secret until they show up in Illinois. But that's not quite true. I'm going to tell one other person in exactly 6 days, on the first day of school. Chapter 2, The Ellie Effect. It's strange not seeing Ellie all summer. For 2.5 months, we don't even email or talk on the phone. But I'm used to it. Her family has a vacation home in Colorado, and they also travel a lot, like all over the world. Sometimes I wonder if Ellie has an extra best friend in Aspen, like a spare tire, and sometimes I think that by the time we make it to June every year, we might just really need our long summer away from each other, with 0 communication. But today's the first day of school, and I see her in the hall outside of the art room. Then she turns her head, and we snap together like magnets for a quick hug. I jump right in, because with Ellie, it's important to be the one who starts talking first. "I've got to tell you something." At the end of August, I flew to Boston to fly by myself to visit my grandfather, and he bought this really old building, and she grabs my arm. "That reminds me." And just like that, I know that my turn to talk is over. Because in Aspen, inside this Old West general store, there's a jewelry shop, and they make things out of real gold nuggets. And that's all they do. Look at this bracelet. Isn't it fantastic? My mom would die if she knew I wore it today, but I had to show you. And these sneakers, you'll never guess where I got them. In Paris. My grandmother took me and my sister to all of her favorite shops there, and it was wonderful. Such gorgeous things. You have to come for a sleepover. And then on the way back to Colorado, we stayed in London for 6 days, and we went to this amazing store called Harold's, and I got the cutest. Ellie goes on for 3 more minutes, and her descriptions are funny and smart, and charming and captivating. In other words, classic Ellie. But by the time she stops, I realize that I don't want to tell her about my fantastic dusty boxes of buttons from this gorgeous crumbling building where all the floors are covered with the cutest bird droppings. And that is when I remembered the Ellie effect. Every summer I forget about this phenomenon, which always makes me ask myself the same question. If Ellie Emerson is my best friend, then how come she makes me so upset? I've been trying to figure this out since second grade, and there does not appear to be a scientific explanation. So each new school year I get to study the Ellie effect all over again. One time Mom said, there's an old saying, opposites attract. I think that might be what's going on with you and Ellie. In a lot of ways, this theory makes sense to me. I don't care about the clothes. Ellie cares a lot. I love math and science. Ellie doesn't. I like to hike and camp and mess around outside. Ellie is perfectly happy to stay inside and talk, or go shopping. And honestly, sometimes Ellie can be so much fun to be with that she can make me happy to hang out at the mall all day too, once in a while. And those sneakers she got in Paris, I have to admit that they're really cute. The one way that we seem most alike, we're both pretty, except I don't try to be, and Ellie does. If I ever said that out loud, that I thought I was pretty, everyone would think I was totally conceited. But I'm not. I'm just trying to be scientific about something science can't even define. There have to be a million different ideas about what makes someone good looking. After I know for sure it is, Ellie is positive that she's pretty, and she keeps on telling me that I am too. But I hate the idea that if she didn't think I was pretty, then Ellie wouldn't like me as much. It's one theory I don't want to prove. The warning bell rings, and as we walk into homeroom, I remind myself for the 100th time that even though Ellie Emerson is my best friend, Ellie's opinions do not rule the world. It only feels that way. All right, have a great Tuesday. I'll be back again with this tomorrow.